So, in this video, I'm describing the fact that you're going to have 3 different approaches to doing your research for your capstone to choose from. And what does that mean? That means that you're going to have one approach that is your main approach, but you should learn something about the other 2 approaches because there may be something in those other approaches that's useful for you as you have your main approach. So let me try to illustrate. The 3 different approaches are case studies, story problems, and systems analysis. Now, if you want to do a systems analysis, you're probably going to work with a lot of different quantitative data, and you're probably going to be having a research question that asks you to use that data in some kind of systematic way. And you're going to try to understand what sources of uncertainty are in the use of that data, that sort of thing. If you're going to have a research design that's going to use case studies, you're going to use a lot of qualitative data. You're probably going to do interviews of people. You're probably going to look at a lot of different existing studies or documents. Maybe you'll use news reports as a source of information. You'll do some kind of policy analysis that could be analysis for the case study. And you're going to be looking at details, a lot of different details. Now, someone could say, I'm doing a case study, therefore I don't need to know very much about systems analysis. Someone could do systems analysis, say, I don't really need to know very much about case studies. But the truth is that if you have quantitative data that they're using, that data still needs to be part of a story that you tell. Their numbers only matter to the extent that we can describe them and describe what they mean and what we're trying to use them for. And on the other hand, all these details for a case study that we get from qualitative analysis are only going to matter to the extent that we can have some numbers that end up telling us the magnitude of the problem, right? Or end up telling us, why we ought to care about this. Or they might end up telling us, the frequency with which something occurs. And that could help us gauge whether or not we continue reading and digesting the information that we're getting in the case study. So, and in between those, you've got story problems. And story problems are a mixture of methods. You found a particular problem that you're interested in dealing with. You're going to approach that problem with some combination of quantitative and qualitative research. So we're going to give you an introduction in this lesson. You're going to read ahead through this lesson and you'll see we've laid out an example of each of the 3 different types of approaches to research, and we've provided you some descriptive information that helps you see the way that these approaches contrast with each other. And what we want you to do is choose one to be sort of your leading approach, and that should be your leading approach because not only does it make sense for the problem that you're trying to address, but it should also make sense because of the kind of research you feel most comfortable doing. Not every one of you is going to be equally comfortable doing interviews and qualitative research. Not every one of you is going to be equally comfortable doing quantitative research with databases. So you're going to get to sort of, choose your poison. You're going to get to go figure out what combinations of these things suit you. One of the easiest ways to look at this is for you to look back through the courses you took in the MIPM program and see which of those courses had methods that you felt more or less comfortable with. If you were pretty comfortable doing risk analysis, if you were pretty comfortable doing work in GIS, if you found that working with databases was something that came pretty easy to you, well, you're probably leaning towards systems analysis of some kind. If you are comfortable doing interviews and you're comfortable approaching people and you don't mind reading through documentation, let's say you enjoyed your policy analysis course or you like the idea of doing strategic planning, perhaps even business continuity planning, Well, these are all the kinds of things that you would want to do that are much more qualitative in nature. Somewhere in between would be like the kind of work that you encountered in my class about infrastructure finance, where you take both qualitative and quantitative information and you try to solve a problem. The problem in capital improvement programming of allocating resources, scarce resources, to projects that are out there that you want to get done. So try to orient yourself in both ways. What kind of topic are you working on? There are a lot of ways to research that topic. What kinds of methods of research do you want to highlight or show your comfort using, okay? And use that to help guide you in your choice of approaches to research.